Okay, this might be one of the first few times where I may have been off more than I can chew. However, if you're seeing this video, it means I managed to finally get this video done. However, there has been a lot of hurdles to get this video out, and well, Roblox really did not make this easy on me. So, this is 100%ing the Roblox Classic event. Now, before we get started, you guys should probably know how the structure of this event works. So I'm going to split this up into two categories. We have the hub and we have the games themselves. Inside the hub, there are 15 quests that you have to do. We'll come back to these in a second. Now let's talk about our 15 games that we have to complete. Each game requires you to find 10 ticks hidden around somewhere in the game, and you also have to get 5 badges per game, meaning that there are 15 badges you have to collect per game, which means if you do the math, you have to collect over 225 badges, not including the ones in the hub. Now, for reference, the hunt only had 100 badges, and they also gave you 3 weeks to do it. However, this event, you have to collect 225, and they only give you 5 days to do it. Like, seriously, if somebody looked at these numbers and the time required to do all of these badges, this event would be way longer than 5 days. But now that we know what we have to do, I guess it's time to get started. And start we will. To get things kicked off, we're gonna do one of my personal favorite parts of this entire video, the hub. Now, as I said before, there are over 15 quests you have to do in the hub. I would say the hub is probably the fastest part of the event. However, it took me around 2 hours to complete just because the event had just started and I honestly was just doing it blinded. The first thing I decided to knock out was the little cart ride they had going on. Unfortunately, people kept knocking me off, so I had to go to a private server to do it, but I eventually got it done and I got 3 ticks for it. The next thing I decided to do was to capture the flag. So I grabbed the blue flag and I made my way over to the red flag, but in the middle of that, I actually did the parkour of doom, which went ahead and netted me another 3 ticks. And then after that, I delivered the blue flag to the moon, and then I had to deliver the red flag to the blue flag, and then I got my first badge. The next quest I did was really simple. I went underground and did the little go-kart thingy. This one is also really easy because all you have to do is go around 3 times over, and well, it's kind of nostalgic. And while I was doing it, I noticed that there was a little secret area. And in order to get into the secret area, you had to say the names of the developers. And here they are in this order: Builderman, Shaletsky, Clockworks, and then the infamous Roblox hacker, 1x, 1x, 1x1. After you go in there, you should get another badge. And then the next thing I decided to do was the parkour under the island. Once again, really easy. For my next quest, all you have to do is buy the rocket and rocket the rocket ship on top of the moon. After that quest, I went ahead and went to Roblox HQ, and if you go down to the basement of Roblox HQ, you'll notice that there's a VIP door. If you're wearing the Roblox VIP shirt, you'll be let in, or if you have a friend that has the VIP shirt on, you can also just go in off him. The next place I went to was a little secret area by the go-karts. When you drop down, you're gonna see a little flower on the very edge of the platform. Just go ahead and walk off the platform, and there you go. You'll be in the little secret sword fighting area. For the next quest, you're gonna notice a little suspicious building by the pirate ship, and when you go inside, there's gonna be a little window or a mirror. Go ahead and type the word magic mirror into the chat, and it will open up for you, and you'll notice a little secret cafe upstairs. It's actually pretty cool. After that, I went ahead and linked all the portals together to get another quest done, and then for my next quest, I saw that there was a floating pot of gold, and I thought that was way too suspicious to be anything not important, so I went ahead and tried boosting myself onto the pot of gold to realize there was nothing in it. Until somebody told me in my chat that if you typed rainbow, a rainbow path would appear and you could just simply walk in it. And inside, there's a little wardrobe. Pretty sick. Then after that, I went ahead and started collecting the 10 books, which I'm not going to explain that here. Just there's 10 book locations. You have to get them in chronological order. So if you try finding something out of order, it's not going to work. After I was done doing that, this left me with 2 quests left: Thirst Quenchers and the dodgeball one. And I simply couldn't do the dodgeball one in time because I didn't have the ticks. So I went ahead and played my first game, got the ticks, and then I did the dodgeball achievement. And then after the dodgeball achievement, I went ahead and gave one of my drinks to the bot helper guy. And with all 15 quests done, I am now officially 1/16 of the way there. God, this video is going to take forever. And so for my first game that I did, I went ahead and started Bee Swarm Simulator. The reason why I chose this one first over others is simply because I used to play a lot of Bee Swarm Simulator, so I figured I'd be able to crack this one pretty fast. However, if you want to knock this one out first, and if you've never played Bee Swarm Simulator, that's perfectly fine because your bees actually aren't required to complete this event. And unfortunately, Bee Swarm Simulator is one of the only games on this list that actually does that. You're gonna notice as this video goes on, the challenges become more of a slog fest. And so when I was playing through this event at first, I thought it was absolutely amazing. But I guess we'll see why it's not so amazing pretty soon here. In order to get all 5 badges in this game mode, you have to do a pretty pretty easy PvE game mode. Essentially, there's gonna be little slimes coming through that little wall over there, and all you have to do is make sure they don't get to the end. Honestly, it's really simple. The only hard part I could see is if you don't make it to wave 10. And if you find yourself struggling in this event in particular, I highly recommend using the trowel. The trowel allows you to actually stop the slimes in their tracks, and you can kill them while they're sitting still. This item in particular actually saved me so many times. And if you're wondering about your upgrade path, I'd recommend getting the slingshot first, and after getting the slingshot, get the upgraded sword, because the upgraded sword does a lot of damage. And really after that, it's smooth sailing. For the ticks themselves, there are 3 different locations you're gonna have to go through to get all 10 of them. 3 of them are inside the survival game mode itself. 4 of them, I think, are in the little hub area for that game mode. And then the other 3 are actually just in Bee Swarm Simulator itself. They're really easy to find. And just like that, Bee Swarm Simulator is done, meaning that we are 2/16 or 1/8 of the way completed. Coming up next, we have my personal favorite game in this entire list, Arsenal. Now, I will say getting all of this stuff for this one is a little bit more complicated than all the other ones in the event. I say this because not only do you have to beat the level it gives you, you also have to do challenges within the level to get all the tokens, and then you have to also find the ticks secretly hidden all around the map. And if you have never played Arsenal or an FPS game before, this one is going to be a big pain in your butt. However, I'm not going to complain because it is the best pain in the butt in this entire event. So let's talk about these challenges. So in order to get your first token, all you have to do is complete the map. However, if you want to get things done faster, you can actually do some of the challenges in your first run to get multiple tokens at once. If you've already seen my 100% Arsenal video for the classic event, then you know exactly what I'm about to do. If you haven't seen that video, let me go ahead and fill you in. So the challenges are: complete the event solo, complete the event only using the classic pistol, complete the event in under 12 minutes, and complete the event finding all ticks. Now, you know what I tried doing in my first run? I tried doing 4 of the badges all at once. That's right. I tried speed running the event without even knowing what anything is. I tried using only the classic pistol, which was a near impossible task. And then on top of that, I was also doing it solo. Now, to say things went wrong was an understatement, because not only did I not make it in under 12 minutes, it actually took me 40 minutes to complete my first run because of trying to use the classic pistol. And if you think to yourself, oh, I can do the classic pistol solo, don't. It's not worth it. It's faster if you just get some friends. Core issue is with the classic pistol is the fact that you just simply don't have enough DPS to kill the bosses fast enough and live. However, in my first run, I was only able to get the solo and the completion badge, meaning that we were 2 out of 5. After getting a few people together, we went ahead and did a big speedrun attempt, and we were able to complete the event in under 10 minutes, giving us yet another badge. And then with those same 3 people, we went ahead and did it with only classic pistols, which was actually somehow faster than the speedrun previously. And now for one of the hardest things to do in this game mode is to find all of the ticks, because all the ticks are actually masterfully hidden around the map. However, after thoroughly searching through the map, we were able to find 8 of the 10 ticks, and then in my second run, we went ahead and got the final 2, which means we have also completed this game mode now 100%, which means we are 3/16 of the way through. Yippee! Now coming up next, we have Dusty Trip, and Dusty Trip is also one of the easier ones in this entire event. Simply put, all you have to do is drive within a straight line and fight a few bosses. Now, another important thing to note is that the developers actually gave you basically infinite everything. They give you infinite gas, they give you infinite food, they give you a buttload of guns, and they also allow you to have infinite ammo. And when I say infinite, the only catch is that you just have to manually grab it. When you're driving down the road, there will be randomly generated structures that you can go ahead and hit up, and they'll have everything. But in order to get all 5 tokens and all 10 ticks, you're gonna have to go through each 5 checkpoints. And each checkpoint presents itself a challenge. At checkpoint number 2, you're at like the twin Roblox towers, and there are 5 spheres you're gonna have to kill that shoot rockets at you. Once again, this is unbelievably easy. It's also important to note that there are ticks at these locations, but I won't be specifying them because 1, the event's over, and 2, this video would be at least 10 times longer. So at checkpoint number 2, all you have to do is cross a bridge. No strings attached, except, you know, there are holes and there's a ramp. After narrowly making it through bridge 2, go to checkpoint number 3, and you'll see 3 pirate ships. Go ahead and board the ship and just start slaughtering every single one of them with your AK. And you'll win the fight because they're pirates with swords. They really didn't know what was gonna hit them. And after almost dying by getting the token badge, we were on our way to checkpoint number 4, which was a little haunted mansion. The place was infested with zombies, but once again, zombies versus an AK-47, who do you think's gonna win? Another important thing to note though, as you are leaving this place, more zombies will spawn, so make sure you are on your feet. After that is the final checkpoint where you have to kill 1x1x1x1 himself. Once again, however, this is extremely easy and it honestly would take a walnut to beat this. And by the end of the car ride, you should not only have all 10 ticks, but you should also have all 5 badges, meaning that you can move on, which also means that we are 4 out of the 16 through. We are officially 25% done with the event. And I'm telling you, it's still all downhill from here because our next game is Adopt Me. And Adopt Me has one of the worst, if not the worst, events of all time on this game. To say this badge was miserable is an understatement. But let's talk about why this one in particular is so bad. So this game's event revolves around raising a teapot, which doesn't sound so bad, except Adopt Me didn't add anything cool with this teapot. You are literally just playing normal Adopt Me. And on top of that, you also have to collect 10 ticks hidden around the map. So starting things off with the teapot, things are really not that bad because there's always something to do with your teapot. You see, in order to level up your teapot, you need to fulfill its needs and wants. So you have to feed your teapot, take it to the hospital when it gets sick, shower it, and then sometimes maybe take it to a little special event. However, the big problem is that it's just one big waiting game. There's no interactability when you're doing these events. Quite literally, all you are doing is waiting for the bar to fill up and then going to the next place. So all I had to do was wait. And never in Roblox history have I had to go AFK for an event. That makes no sense. I know I've said this in my other 2 videos about the event. However, this is one of the parts where it's really obvious that nobody playtested it. There's no reason why you'd want your players to AFK parts of your event. However, there is a pretty large money incentive for game developers to keep you inside their games for a little bit longer. And the best way I can describe why is because think of playing games as like watching a YouTube video. The longer somebody plays, the more it's going to get recommended. So yeah, that's why Adopt Me is using AFK functions in the event. However, around an hour later, I was finally able to AFK my way to the max teapot. And just like that, we have all the badges for Adopt Me, which means that we are 5/16 of the way done. Now for my next game, I went ahead and did Livetopia. Now I recently made a video about ranking all the classic games and I put Livetopia over Beestorm Simulator. I don't know how that got through. I don't know why I didn't think about that. However, consider this video as like an official resignation of Livetopia because it really is just a grind. Now, let's talk about what's so grindy about it. So the entire event for this game revolves around being an Instacart driver, essentially. You go to a grocery store, you get an order, you have to fulfill that order. That's it. And you're probably wondering, how does that relate to the classic event at all? It doesn't. It's not even like you're transporting OG items or anything. You are literally just going from point A to point B. Now, thankfully, this one isn't too grindy because I'm pretty sure you only have to do 15 deliveries because you get a badge for every 3 deliveries you make, if I remember correctly. If not, well, then I'm screwed. I also noticed that getting the ticks for this one was also really easy. I'm pretty sure as you go on, more ticks appear, but I could be completely wrong. But by the time I finished all of my Instacarting, I literally already had all the ticks. And thankfully, because of that, this is one of the fastest ones, if not the fastest one I've done so far. I think this one in particular took me around like 30 minutes to do, but believe me, that is an outlier for this event. That is because our next game is probably the longest on the list, Driving Empire. Oh God. Now, if you know anything about the Driving Empire event, you know exactly what's about to go down, but if you don't, let me go ahead and fill you in. Thankfully, the ticks are really easy to find. However, the tokens, not so much. The biggest issue I have with this game is that it's really painfully obvious that it's pay to win. For example, when you're finding the ticks, you can find them even faster and easier if you get something called a ticks tracker. Thankfully, I think the ticks tracker is only 10 Robux, so it's not really that big of a deal. But in order to get the tokens, you're gonna have to run the same race 46 different times. That is not a joke. And obviously, to any sensible person, that is absolutely ridiculous. Who would want to do the same race 46 times over? And so, because of that, they went ahead and made it so you could buy your way to a victory by paying for double rewards for a small price of 65 Robux. This is one of the parts in the event where it's pretty clear that nobody actually play tested this because obviously Driving Empire took advantage of this and made this with malice. No sensible person would make a person do the same race 46 times over without the exterior motive of wanting to make some money. And you're probably wondering how long it actually took me to do it even with the 2 times reward modifier. It took me an hour and a half. So if I were to do it without the modifier, it would have taken me over 3 hours to do it. I really hate giving these people money, but to be honest with you, I think it's probably just more worth it just to spend the 65 Robux and to play for 3 hours and make a statement about it, especially since I have absolutely zero influence over anything about Driving Empire. It's not my place to make a big big fuss about it, but really, it's ridiculous. However, with this badge done, that means we are 7/15ths of the way done. We are so close to being halfway. However, this next game is also going to remind us why this event kind of sucked. Incoming Blade Ball. Now, there are a lot of similarities between Driving Empire and Blade Ball. However, it is not as grindy as people really make it out to be. I would actually say this is one of the faster ones for me. I think this took me around like maybe 45 minutes to an hour. However, I will say I didn't do this in a regular size server. I did this in a very small server, off stream too. If you're going to play this in a regular server, then yes, it is going to be a big pain in the butt. In fact, this would probably take one of the longest to get. But any sensible person would do this in a lobby with 4 people. All things besides the boss fight. The boss fight I actually do recommend going into a full server for. But let's talk about these tokens. So in order to get all 5 of these tokens, you basically need to complete a battle pass. I want to say you need 120 XP, but I could be wrong. But essentially, it gives you a list of challenges to do. The challenges are pretty simple. And if you're in a server of like 4 people, you'll get the wins almost instantly. But the hardest part was probably getting the ticks itself, because a lot of the ticks required a good amount of RNG, because you could only get 1 ticks per map, and you need to get all 10 different maps. Thankfully, if you're playing in a very small server of like 3 people, you'll be cycling through maps pretty quickly. And so I got them before I even finished the battle pass. Oh, and a quick side note, I know a lot of people aren't saying this, but the boss fight in Blade Ball was actually kind of good. I know it gets overshadowed because of the battle pass and how grindy the event could actually be, but the boss fight itself should have been a token. But sadly, no, it wasn't. But with Blade Ball done, we can now officially say we are halfway through. And with most of the hardest ones out of the way, these next ones are going to be a little bit faster. Actually, I lied, because I just looked and our next game is Restaurant Tycoon 2, arguably the worst in the entire event, because this one requires you to already have a Restaurant Tycoon ready to go. If you don't, you're going to be grinding this one for hours. Thankfully, I already had a Tycoon from 2020, so I was able to grind this event out in an hour and 30 minutes. However, in order to get all these badges, we need to serve, I think, over 150 classic items to classic people. Now, the big problem with this is that you can't just give your classic food to anybody. It has to be specifically with the people that have their little classic thing above them. Now, at the time, I did not realize you could actually close your restaurant for VIPs only, and classics did count. And in fact, I'm pretty sure almost everybody did not know that until the event was already over. It was pretty obvious that the developers didn't make it clear enough, because they want to keep people in their game as long as possible. Even though the option was there, it was never really advertised and made very obvious that this is what you could do instead. But these are really straightforward, and honestly, it's really boring and grindy, so I'm not going to bore you guys any longer with this one, which means we are 9/16ths of the way there. Before our 10th game, we have Gunfight Arena, and honestly, Gunfight Arena was actually one of the more fun ones on this list, and it's actually unbelievably easy. So let's talk about the ticks first. So in order to get all 10 ticks, all you really have to do is play the Happy Homes map and shoot the ticks as you see. They're really easy to find, and honestly, if you can't find them, well, you might just be blind. However, Gunfight Arena actually went ahead and made custom guns for everybody, and all of these custom guns are actually classic Roblox themed. So I think my first one I chose was the paintball gun, and oh my god, was the paintball gun pretty damn good. It had an extreme low rate of fire, but honestly, it had a pretty high damage output, so I didn't really mind that much. Then I think the next gun I used was the little ball. I'd like to think that the ball was meant to be kind of a sniper, because if you hit somebody with the ball, it's a one shot and it's pretty ridiculous. I think the next one I did after that was the slingshot. The slingshot was really easy too. All you did was spam away at the slingshot, and eventually you'd get a kill or two. And before I go any farther, I would just like to mention that I didn't realize until like halfway through that I was fighting bots. So I was dropping 100 kill games back to back, and I thought I was absolutely crazy, because all I did was sit in their spawn and use the force field. But lo and behold, they were actually just all bots. And after the slingshot, we had bombs and rockets. This is by far my favorite part, because all you really have to do is put a force field in their spawn, wait for them to spawn in, throw one bomb, kill 4 people, rinse and repeat. It was the best thing ever. Overall, Gunfight Arena probably had one of the better events, and I really enjoyed this one. Which means we are finally in double digits. We are 10/16ths of the way done. Let's go ahead and get a mental health check on my editor real quick. Yeah, he's looking pretty good. Our next game is Tower Defense Simulator, and now this is my number 3 pick for this entire event, and I'll get to why in a second. However, first things first, we need to collect all the ticks in the lobby, and after collecting all 5 ticks inside the lobby, I went ahead and started doing the missions, but I was hoping I was able to do it in multiplayer, but unfortunately, this is a solo-only endeavor. Now, I'm not gonna lie, when I was doing the first mission, I really kind of got my butt kicked pretty hard. In fact, I got my butt kicked a few times. This is because I didn't realize the power of the soldier. Then you literally have an unpenetrable defense. It's also important to note, with these missions, there are 1 ticks hidden within each mission, but they're also extremely easy to find, and there's no way you can miss it. And what I like about this event in particular is the fact that it requires no prior knowledge of Tower Defense Simulator to actually breeze through this. Even though mission 1 was on a rocky start, mission 2, I already had it down. This is because I actually spam militants over and over and over, and it worked. Like, straight up, it actually just worked. After feeding the mission 2 boss, I went ahead and started mission 3. And once again, my go-to was the militant and the minigunners, because they're just absolutely broken. Although mission 3 was a slightly more scary, I managed to pull through pretty easily. And on mission 4, we were given soldiers and helicopters and minigunners. And you know that's exactly what I spammed. I'm not gonna lie though, the boss fight did get a little scary, but I managed to pull through. But mission 5, oh my god. I'm not gonna lie, mission 5 was a really painful time for me because I really don't have any experience with the whole Tower Defense Simulator, towers and all that stuff and how they're supposed to be used. So I'm not gonna lie, I may or may have not have looked at somebody run through it and then tried mimicking what they did. But it still took me an hour. I am not proud of it. But after beating all 5 missions, I had all 5 tokens and I also grabbed the extra 5 ticks in each one of the maps. Which means we are 11/16 of the way done. We're actually creeping up on this pretty fast here. Thankfully though, our next game is pretty easy. It is Dress to Impress. And now Dress to Impress has a very easy event. However, it's structured a little bit differently from all the other ones, because this time you actually have to get all 10 ticks first before you can actually get the tokens. The ticks themselves are pretty easy to find. Like literally you can find them all within like 5 minutes. And then a portal opens up, which you walk in and you have to do a whole thing of classic parkour. Speaking of which, for this next part, I'm gonna go ahead and give a little quick time lapse of the parkour because it's really fun. And if you didn't do it, I really want you to see it because they did a really good job of putting this together. So here's a little quick time lapse. And now with all 5 tokens done, we are officially 75%, 12/16. We're so close. So let's go ahead and close out these next games. Our next game is a little bit more controversial, and the game in question is Dragon Adventures. Now, me personally, I didn't have a problem with this event. However, a lot of people had problems with this event. And the reason why that is not only the event semi-pay to win, the event is different for every person, meaning that you cannot look up locations. I did feel like most of the time when I was playing this event, I was just searching for eggs, and I felt like it was a little time-consuming and a little tedious, but I really didn't have that many problems with it. In order to get the badges for this event, you need to incubate 10 ticks eggs and 5 token eggs. And the way you get a classic egg is by finding like 5 other eggs. And then once you find all 5 other eggs, a meteor will come out from the sky and you'll have to break it open, and inside will be the classic egg. But once again, the problem is just finding these eggs in general because they are pretty hidden. And on top of that, you also have to do this 5 times over for each map. However, I did appreciate the Easter eggs they put in all the maps. I thought it was pretty fun exploring. However, I can see why people just did not like this period. I really don't think they should have made an egg tracker and also purposely make the eggs hard to find. I feel like it should have been a little bit more obvious because for the most part, I wasn't incubating eggs. I was just flying around in circles desperately looking for the last egg. It was really annoying. However, after incubating all of my eggs, I did eventually get all of the badges. It took me longer than I'd like to admit, but I got it done. So that leaves 3 more games. And here we are at the dreaded Bed Wars. If you know anything about this event, you know that this event was hell. This event is like literally like the final boss of the classic event. If you manage to do it solo, you need a reward. You need a medal of honor. And when I started doing this, I was actually coming close on the end of the night, and I really just wanted to finish everything out and then be done in the morning. Yeah, no, that's not how that went. I tried. I really did. And I failed miserably. It was attempt after attempt after attempt. So much so that I gave up for the night and I just went to bed. However, I haven't even explained why it's so hard yet, but essentially imagine Bed Wars, but it's like a PvE game mode and there's God Bridgers coming at you from all directions. Sounds pretty annoying, right? Because it was! How the hell were a bunch of randoms supposed to be able to complete this event in particular? It's ridiculous. So I had a plan. I pinged my Discord and I asked them to bring their best Bed Wars players. I'm talking in the thousands of wins, and that they did. We had a team comprised of 2 people that had like 3,000 wins, 1 person that had 1,000 wins, and then 2 noobs, which was me and somebody else. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it got close. It got very close. We almost went out at wave 9, which if I did that, I don't think I would be making this video right now. Even with a team of seasoned veterans, we still could barely beat this event. Like, barely. Like, a very slim margin we won by. The dopamine rush when beating it was crazy. However, it was not worth it. Not worth it at all. I would never do this ever again. You know how I said Roblox hasn't play tested their event? Yeah, well, Bed Wars didn't play test that event because, oh my god, that was impossible. But after beating Bed Wars, that means we only have 1 more game. 1 more for all the marbles. And that final game is Clip It. And man, am I really glad that I ended off with this game. Because if I ended off with Bed Wars or Skibbity Toilet Tower Defense, it would have really put a bad taste in my mouth. However, the Roblox TikTok game did better at their event than almost like over half of these people. And so what do these tokens entail for a TikTok game? Is it making TikToks or is it doing the default dance, you know, doing the gritty? No, unfortunately it's not. You can't hit the gritty. But in order to get all of the badges, you have to take videos of yourself with the characters. Now, if I remember correctly, those characters are John Doe, Jane Doe, Builderman, Shaletsky, and 1x1x1. And on top of that, they also brought a bunch of classic maps and they hid ticks all around them. But for time's sake, I'm only going to be talking about the characters themselves. Almost all of them were pretty easy because I did look up a guide because honestly, if I didn't look up a guide, I would have never found these people. But after flicking up with the first 4 of them, it is time you flick up with the OG himself, 1x1x1. And after doing a little TikTok dance in front of some red paint, a portal opened and there he was, the man, the myth, the legend himself. For the final token, this is all for it right here. This is my 100%. In 3, 2, 1. We're not done. We're not done. We aren't done. What I didn't mention at all is that there's actually a few more secret badges that we have to get, but I'm going to categorize this as like miscellaneous. I didn't know this at the time, but the 2 I'm missing were the dev slice that you have to basically meet a dev that worked on the event and the admin hat or the admin cake hat. I don't know. And to be honest with you, getting these was like hell on earth. I had to wait in a queue of 700 people only to when I get in the front of the queue and get into the game, the person left and I had to do it all over again. However, I was able to finally join the developer's game and I got the dev slice of cake, but that means that we are missing the admin hat. Thankfully, my homie at the Star Code Gilded Discord or whatever, 8-Bit Dylan hooked me up with the final piece to the puzzle, the cake. And at this point, I was at already 100%, but I didn't get the badge. And I'll explain it in a second why I didn't get the badge, but I thought I'd have to buy the battle pass to actually get the 100% badge. So I also got 4 extra badges that I didn't even need for the 100%. And even then, I still did not get it because I had to leave and rejoin the game. I didn't figure this out for like 30 minutes. I was like freaking out because I thought my entire video would be for nothing if I didn't get the badge. However, I did it. I got 100%. And you want to know what my reward was for going so out of my way for this achievement? Drum roll, please. Nothing. There was no reward. Hey, congratulations. You wasted 20 hours of your life. That's it. I honestly thought the 100% badge or the 100% reward would be at the live event, but I'm not even going to talk about the live event. If you know anything about that live event, it was the biggest letdown of all time. The only thing I guess I really won was bragging rights, but then again, I would never want to brag that I wasted like 20 hours of my life getting an arbitrary badge that nobody knows about. It is kind of cool though that 30 million people logged in for this event, but only 11,000 people actually got the 100% badge. But if you have made it this far, thank you, because this is my biggest video I have ever made, period. This is really ambitious, and thank you to my editor, Vex Clover for actually getting all this together. I can't believe it. But if you have made it this far, I believe I would deserve a sub after this because it was painful, man. Please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1 million. But that's it. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.